Hi guys, it's Massa from the Great White North. So today we have two very interesting things to go through. First, an amazing offer for Tales of Aria first edition from our sponsors, Infinity. I'm gonna show you how to pre-order. That's an amazing deal for 500 Canadian dollar, so like 400 US dollars, something like that. You get two first edition Tales of Aria and two box of any unlimited you want. You get two box of Crucible, two box of Welcome to Rast, two box of Arcane Rising, whatever you want. So I think that's a great deal, and it's one of the first time that Infinity opened this order to anybody in the world. Just stock is pretty limited. We work together because we want to help people that have trouble finding some Flesh and Blood, especially first edition. I know some country doesn't have distributor for Flesh and Blood. We want to spread out, the game and possibly have more people in our events online when we have them, and just help you out there. So let's check how to order. So you go to the Infinity Cards and Collectible webpage. It's on the first page here, or you can just tap Tales of Aria, and it's gonna pop up here. You click on the bundle and then you choose. So you get two first edition and a choice of either two Welcome to Rust Unlimited, two Crucible of War Unlimited, two Tales of Aria Unlimited if you want more of it, two Arcane Rising Unlimited or two Monarch Unlimited. There is not like so much stock, so you should hurry. And like for 500 Canadian, I think that's a very good price. That's like what, 400 US, and you get four boxes, including two first edition. This is for everywhere in the world, and even better because, of course, you subscribe to this channel and you support this channel. You can use the code that I gave you before. You could use the code MASSA, and you're gonna get 5% off, which is pretty insane. That's even like cheaper. So that's $25 cheaper. That make it the bundle for $475. I think that's an insane deal. I'm taking some for myself. I strongly recommend it. So now let's move to the tutorial video where we'll go in depth to all the rules for Road to National, and just like if you want to learn more about Flesh and Blood, and be ready also for Tales of Aria. Let's go to the next video. Today we wanted to do a gameplay tutorial, pretty in depth, with Flesh and Blood, so that you are all ready for your Road to National if you didn't play yours yet, or if you go to the callings. Just at competitive level, to know all your windows, how to attack and how to defend. So we have a guest today that will play with me and that will go through all the line with me, and this guest is called Eric.
Hello, everybody. I'm Potato on Discord. I am the tournament organizer for Flesh and Blood for Infinity Cards and Collectibles. Played a lot of you before, so this is what my face looks like. I'll have a mask for Rhodes, but other than that, hello.
Yeah, I will have a mask, otherwise you don't know about my beard.
You need a mask.
I need a
Required.
mask. So anyway, yeah, let's we're gonna do Ira versus Dory. Apparently, I think one of the most difficult things is about passing priority when you block, and just to be sure your window where you can play instant, where you can play defense reaction, attack reaction. Yeah, so let's go to the game now.
So we will be playing a game of Blitz today, but I'm going to explain the starter game procedure and explain kind of the differences and the points that you'll need to keep in mind for Classic Constructed at Road to Nats. And the calling, if you're going to a calling with CC, it'll be the same kind of starter game procedure. So at the very beginning of the game, you'll have your deck. Classic Constructed, you're allowed to bring 80 cards, including weapons, equipment, sideboard, main deck, everything, plus the hero. In this case, for Blitz, we just have a 40-card deck, including equipment. There's no sideboard, so everything you bring in the main deck, the 40 cards, is the deck, plus equipment. So come to 52 cards with the hero. And so we're just going to go, me and Alan here are just going to go through the steps in a game, and then I'll explain any differences between Blitz and CC. So at Road to Nationals, especially the one in Infinity, We will have a very kind of set timing schedule as we are a little bit tight on time, but each round will be 50 minutes long. And so you would be allowed to do the start of game procedure before the actual round is called to start your game at either 10 a.m., 11 a.m. It'll usually be on the hour. But if you'll say get there about 5 minutes before, you find your table, you see your opponent, you're allowed to flip your hero, do what we're about to do here, sideboard, and do everything up to essentially having everything flipped and before you draw your cards. So you cannot actually draw your cards and start playing until the round timer has started, as dictated by the tournament organizer and judge. So in this particular case, we'll assume that me and Alan essentially got to one of our Swiss rounds, let's say. We have about 5 minutes to 5-10 minutes to do our start a game procedure, after which the round will start. So the very first step of the start a game is me and any of your opponents will flip only your hero face up to see what we are versing, what we are versing each other. So in this case, I am playing Dorinthia, Alan's playing Ira. So in Classic Constructed, this will be the time that there'll be no difference from Blitz, as in the next stage will be deciding who goes first and second. So it only dictates it needs to be a random method, but the accepted method and what people use is dice, 1 dice or 2 dice, usually a high roll. So me and Alan, before doing anything else, we will decide who's going first or second. This is quite important in a lot of matchups. So I rolled a 7. He rolled a 5. So as high roll, I get to pick. I will be going second here, as Dorinthia very much likes the tempo versus Ira. And now that I've picked second, we then move to the next stage, which is essentially siding. So in terms of what equipment you want to be boarding, in Classic Constructed, this is the point where you will bring your deck from the initial cards you brought down to a minimum of 60 cards in your main deck. Then your 4 equipment, your weapon or weapons, and then that will be the point where you will be able to start the game with your legal deck. So in this case, me and Alan have already we knew the matchup beforehand, so we already have our sideboard choices.
If you use 2 weapons, kind of put them like that. You don't need to say, "Oh, I have 2 weapons," because like correct. If you play brutes, that's giving a lot of information.
So exactly, yeah. So you don't have to necessarily put all your weapons kind of separated, because most classes will bring 1 weapon to Classic Constructed. So if you are bringing 2 minors plus, Bolton can be bringing sabers, things like that. So that's totally okay. Once you have everything face down and you have prepared your main deck and shuffled it thoroughly, we will be ready to essentially start the game. And this is where you stop and wait for the round timer to go from the judge and TO, and that's when you're officially allowed to start. So when you start, you then flip all your equipment and your weapon. In this case, I'm playing the fairly standard Dorinthia kind of skullcap, bracers, courage, and bolters. And Alan is playing his standard mist, the mask, tunic, breaking scales, and scalers. So now that the rounds start, I chose second, so we're both gonna draw up to our intellect, and we're gonna start the game. Alan is going to be going first.
So I'm showing my hand on my camera, but I don't think you see it.
No, I can't see the hand. Another point I want to mention is that we are using a phone counter just for the purposes of this video, and on the stream table in the Infinity event specifically, there will also be a phone counter allowed, but the players can write on a piece of paper and then adjust the phone counter just for any kind of viewers. But for any other game that's not being streamed, a paper and pencil method will be used for counting life. This is easier to audit in case there's any issues with players misremembering any of the life counters. So that is a point that I am using it for the purposes, but please either bring a pencil and paper. We will provide paper, but not pens. So at least please bring a pen. We'll have a couple extra probably, but probably not enough for everybody, and it is COVID. So
don't really want to be pen.
Yeah, we don't really want to be going around swinging pens to everybody, but we will have a couple extra just in case. But yeah, it'll be paper and pen.
Okay, so that's the beginning of my turn. So that's when I put my tunic counter. If I already pitch and say I attack, that's too late. So But
That would be considered a missed beneficial trigger.
yes. So you call the judge,
Now you call
and
the judge.
like no, I mean like if some well no if somebody do that you just say well you can't you already did, and if they complain then you call the judge.
Yeah.
Um, so like typically I don't really care. I'm not gonna go through all the line of play. I'm just gonna go pretty quick. I just this turn I mean whatever I do anyway will block. So I just want to set up my arsenal card because next turn gonna be pretty big. I want to arsenal this, and then I'm just thinking well I really don't care. Uh, I want to get rid of at least maybe this or this, so I'm gonna maybe I can squeeze some damage. I'm gonna pitch a pounding gale, attack for 1.
I will take the 1.
So wait, you
I will not take the 1. That is the first error that plenty of people make, that we want to make sure we actually demonstrate everything that goes into before the damage calculation. So in response, there is a priority window where Alan and I can play instants. So on the attack, on the declaration of the attack, before the attack resolves to be chain link 1, there is I like to call it instant priority in the Aether. So you put a little circle above each step, and there's your little instant window. And essentially, anytime someone has priority, an instant may be played. And that's essentially more or less how that works. So on the attack, creating the chain, combat chain, there is an instant priority window. If Alan doesn't play instants and I pass on that, we are then into the blocking phase, the defending stage. I may then block with any number of equipment or cards from hand for their blocking value. I may not block with defense reactions yet. If you skip to defense reactions, that is skipping a whole lot of steps. I would not recommend it. I would simply wait until the reaction step to actually play your defense reactions. And so in this particular case, I do not want to block the Kodachi when anything with a defensive value, and so I will say pass block.
and I will. So now I have a window where I can play an attack reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna pitch 1 and razor it.
So he's Razor Reflex, so he will be adding +3 to that. So now we are in the reaction window where attack reactions and defense reactions will be played player by player until both players have passed in succession. And this is the most important part here, that if Alan plays a Razor Reflex, I pass on my defense reaction. So I could have a shunt or something like that. So if I had it, I could play it. In this particular case, if I pass on defense reaction, it then goes back to Alan to decide if he wants to pass and go to the damage calculation and any other trigger resolutions coming after that. It is his choice to play as many other attack reactions as he would like before he passes back. So he could play a Razor, go back to me, I pass on my defense reaction. He could, if he had an Arsenal card, he could pitch his last card and play another Razor if he'd like. He can play as many attack reactions as he wants before playing pass, as he is the turn player and holds priority to play as many as he would like before passing. The turn player has priority to do this before they pass to the non-turn player.
So like a way I like to see it is like if we both pass, it means it's processed to next phase.
Exactly. So if I pass on this Razor Reflex and he passes on his any other attack reactions, mind you, there are also trigger windows for instance. If you'd want to play something like a Sigil of Solace, anything like that, there are also windows in the reaction phase. You can play any kind of instance in this window as well. In this case, I'm not going to be playing any instance on turn 1. I'm going to pass a defense reaction, go back to Alan. Alan's probably going to pass his attack reaction after that.
I pass.
And now we go to damage calculation. In damage calculation, there are no priority windows. This is very important. Once it goes to damage calculations, there are no windows to then do stuff until the next phase, until the trigger resolution phase, in case there's like stuff with go again and things like that. Before end of turn, but in the damage calculation phase, there are no triggers to play any kind of instance or whatever, or reaction, any other reactions. So you cannot wait until after both of you pass and then play your defense reaction. We are on damage calculation. Alan will be coming in for a total power of 4. I am blocking with a total defense value of 0. So I will be taking 4 damage on this. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next stage after this, after damage calculation, is the what I like to call the trigger resolution window. So things like if an attack has go again, if there are any on-hit effects, things like snatch, for instance, they have triggers where they have either an on-hit or something like that, where they would resolve then after that damage calculation. So if he had a snatch, it would deal 4 damage to me, and then the trigger would go on the chain. And then based on how many triggers, they would then resolve on the chain and all the effects would go. And then either you open a new combat chain or close it or what have you, depending on the particular chain.
Maybe we will have an opportunity with Mask to see it.
Yeah, exactly. A Mask will be a good example of that. In this particular case, there are no trigger windows. Alan did not pitch a 0 cost to give the Kodachi go again. If he did, there would be a trigger to essentially give that Kodachi go again. In this case, there isn't. So in this particular case, I've taken the damage. Alan will then choose to either play an instant or pass.
I pass.
I then also pass. Once we have both passed, Alan gets the option to then arsenal a card, put his pitch on the bottom of the deck, and draw up to his intellect in that order.
And I can choose the order of my pitch.
Correct. And I cannot ask him what order he put it because it is considered hidden at this point. So you cannot ask your opponent what the order of the pitch was once they have decided. Like they could pick it up, put whatever on the bottom, order them, put them on the bottom of the deck. That is hidden information. You are not allowed to ask. It is not a graveyard or a banish, anything like that. So just in case anyone was wondering that.
And it's all one phase. Like you arsenal and draw the card. There is no like.
There is no.
I have one card in hand. I arsenal and draw. There is no like phase where I have 0 card in my hand. I have 1 and then I have 4. Like correct. There is no.
Once the pass succession and end phase is entered, arsenal draw. There is no priority window for instance or anything like that. That a lot of Kano players sometimes miss that point. So that is an important point to make. So now we are on turn number 1. Technically, that's like turn 0 because if I blocked, I'd be able to redraw. You can only do this on the first turn of the hand. Both players will draw up. And so I will then take my turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the correct order, of course, I'm going to be attacking with the Dawnblade, paying its cost, in this case 1, with a Glint the Quicksilver, which is a blue, so I have 2 floating. And I will then pass to Alan.
No block.
No block. So what I will do is I will go to reaction and pass reaction. So
no
now,
reaction.
Pass attack reaction. Alan will get a chance. We've both passed in succession. We are now going to damage calculation. So Alan will now take the 3 damage from Dawnblade.
Yes, correct.
On the hit of the Dawnblade, I am now allowed to trigger, if I wanted, Refraction Bolters, which I usually wouldn't do, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to do kind of early here. And so Bolter says, when the weapon hits, it's declared hit in the damage calculation phase. You may destroy it. If you do, it gains go again. So I will do that for this purpose here. So I will crack the bolters, as they say. And what I will do is that now has go again. I will play a Spoils of War using one of my pitch to give my next weapon attack +2 and go again. I will then come in, because I hit with the Dawnblade, I'm allowed to attack with it again based on Dorinthia's ability. If you'd like, you can turn Dorinthia sideways or put something on her to dictate that you are using, because there are cards like Twinning Blade that also give Dawnblade the ability to swing again. In this case, I just say swinging again with Dawnblade and Dorinthia's ability, using my last floating pitch to pay for the Dawnblade. So this is coming now for 5 go again, unconditional and go again. I will then pass that to Alan
I
for block.
block with a breaking scale for 1.
Okay. He's blocking for 1. He's probably having a reaction such as flick flack or such, so I will go to the reaction window and pass my attack reaction.
I will play red flick flack.
He's playing a red flick flack, so he is now blocking for 5. I now have the option to add an attack reaction to this Dawnblade. I will instead say pass.
I will pass.
And so now we have both passed in succession. So damage calculations, he's blocking for 5, I'm attacking for 5, nothing happens. In the trigger resolution, my Spoils of War Go Again triggers, so I gain 1 action point from the Go Again. And I will now pitch a Singing Steel Blade to attack with Nourishing Emptiness. This is coming in for 6 Dominate because there are no attack actions in your graveyard. This is a fairly aggressive line in popping the bolters very early, but it is also very efficient with my resources. I didn't feel like I particularly needed to go further in. And once I've seen the Dawnblade from his arsenal, Alan now has less opportunities to block a 6 Dominate without popping a lot of armor here. And so that is the line I'm going. It is a card that if it hits the hero, my hero gains +1 intelligence till end of turn, so it's a very strong with Dorinthia. And it now goes to blocks for Alan.
I block with a tunic and with a fluster fist that have combo.
Sure. So he's blocking with Fluster Fist and Tunic. The Fluster Fist has a +2 because of the Flick Flack, and the Tunic is blocking for 1. So I got a PI, traded the Tunic for a Nourishing Emptiness quite early, so I consider that a pretty favorable turn, as Bolters is a kind of one-stop where he didn't get any value for Tunic. So that was my train of thought, which is fine. At least still leaves him with 3 cards in hand because he used Flick Flack. And so damage resolution comes. There's no damage dealt. I will then pass.
I will pass.
And now we are in end phase. I don't have any cards to arsenal, so I will not arsenal anything. The bolters is used, so ideally put it in the graveyard. It is okay if you flip it over. For Levia, that's not how you do have to put it in the grave in case of Levia and have all of your sleeves the same color, so there's no differential when you start banishing. But in this particular case, I will be as correct as I can here and put bolters in the graveyard as they are used. I will put my 2 pitch cards to the bottom of the deck, and I will draw 4.
I will play E-Strike for 5, draw a card.
5, draw a card. Okay, so Alan has played E-Strike, meaning he has to place 1 card to the bottom as this additional cost. E-Strike costs 0, so he doesn't need to pitch to do so. The way it works with additional costs is your pitch comes before your additional costs. For cards like Flock the Featherwalkers, you cannot use your pitch card for Flock as your additional cost is reveal. Same thing with Rouse the Ancients. You cannot use your pitch card as the additional cost for Rouse the Ancients. So you'd have to pitch, play Rouse the Ancients with your additional cost, which is revealing cards in hand. That pitched card doesn't count as one of those cards in hand because you have already pitched to actually play the Rouse the Ancients in the first place.
Or Belittle. That's very relevant for Belittle.
Yes, but Belittle is the same idea. Generally, you want to try to get a Tunic counter on that, so you don't have to pay before you use Belittle, because you can use a Tunic counter and then reveal something from hand. But yes, Belittle is also another case of that. So in this particular case, he had draw a card. Draw a card resolution then triggers on his effect, and so he will draw his card. I am now choosing whether I want to block or not. I will declare... I'm going to be blocking with Skullcap and nothing else, just the Skullcap here for a block of 2, and I will pass to reactions after this block.
I will use a Snapdragon as an attack reaction. to give it go
Okay.
again.
Sure. So if Alan wanted to, he could also pitch and play a razor for, I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm saying he could do that as he is the turn player and can hold priority to do as many attack reactions as he'd like before passing. In this particular case, I'm going to pass on my defense reactions.
So you take. I'm gonna pass.
Yep. And so I'll be taking 3 as the Arcanized Skullcap gains +1 due to me being at lower health. And so I will be taking 3. 1, 2, 3. I will put a counter on my Arcanized Skullcap, and the Arcanized Skullcap is equipment, and it will stay on the chain until he has broken the chain, and then it is allowed to go back into his equipment slot. So you cannot block again with this equipment unless Alan chooses to or blocks the chain voluntarily or involuntarily.
So now I'm gonna attack with a Soul Bet Strike for 4.
So that is a red Soul Beat Strike. It gains go again if there's a hit. He has no floating and 1 card in hand. So what I'm going to do, because I do not really want to give him go again, although this is more realistically just a bluff. His last card is likely not a 0-cost attack, but it is possible. So what I am going to do is I'm going to simply block for 4 here. 2 for my Courage of Bladehold, and then 2 for my Bracers for a total block of 4.
Alright, I pass back to you.
Okay, so he has passed his attack reaction. I will pass my defense reaction, and so we go to damage calculation. He is at 4, I am at 4, meaning the trigger does not resolve as it is not activated since he did not score a hit. I will then put 1 counter on Courage and 1 counter on Bracers.
And then I will pass priority back to you.
And I also pass. So he is now going to end phase. Alan will then choose to arsenal a card. I will put my equipment back in the slot, and he can draw back up. So my turn is going to be a Yellow Warrior's Valor pitching a blue hit and run. So I have 2 floating. I will then come in with a swing of the Dawnblade using 1 of my 2. I now have 1 floating, 2 in hand. This is coming in for 5, and if it hits, I gain go again off the Valor.
For 5. No block.
I declare no attack reaction.
No defense reaction.
Okay, he has taken... so I cannot now choose to play an attack reaction, for example, as we both passed in succession. So we will now go to damage calculation. I'm coming in for 5. He's blocking 0. And so he is taking 5 here, going down to 12. Trigger resolution on my Warrior's Valor now happens because I have hit. It will gain go... Dawnblade will now gain go again on that trigger. And I will then use my last floating to then come in again with Dawnblade for 3. 2 cards in hand and no floating.
I will block for 3.
Sure. I will then go to attack reactions and play a red Iron Song response as he has blocked from hand, reprise triggers, and my target weapon attack will gain +3.
I will play red Flick Flack.
Yep, so he plays red Flick Flack. I then pass.
I pass to you. You pass? Okay,
Yeah.
but I pass back to you.
Yep, so we passed on succession, and so I'm coming in for 6. He's coming in for 7. The attack does not hit. I will then pass to end.
I pass back to you.
I will then arsenal and draw up 4.
Gonna attack with Kodachi for 1, pitching a blue Flick Flack.
Yep. I will declare no block.
We'll take your 1. No reaction.
I'll take 1 damage.
Kadachi for 2.
I will declare no block.
No reaction.
I will then pass reaction also and take 2 damage in the damage resolution.
And I'm gonna Ponder Gale for 5.
Sure. And so there is a trigger on Mask if this hits. So he would be able to draw, as this is Chain Link 3. He's created Chain Link 1 from the first Kadachi, Chain Link 2 from the second Kadachi, all in the same combat chain, a Chain Link 3 on the Pounding Gale. The difference between Chain and Chain Link is mainly relevant for Ninja, for Mask and Momentum. So I am deciding whether I'm okay with him drawing a card. He has no floating. Sure, just for the purpose of this. I will declare no block.
No reaction.
No reaction from me.
So now we go to the
The
damage resolution.
Yep. So we have damage resolution. The calculation is 5 for Alan, 0 for me, and so the attack is considered hit, and I will take 5 damage.
And so now, like right now I have only the masks that trigger, but if I had Katsu, I can choose because I'm the owner of those cards, I can choose the order that they will activate. So like if I had Katsu, I could do mask first and then Katsu, or Katsu first and
Correct.
then mask. In that case, I have only the mask, so I'm drawing a card.
Yep, the turn player holds the ability to choose the order of the triggers.
And I will pass back to you.
I will pass.
And then I will ask another.
Okay. Sounds good. So I'm going to try to go out in style here because I don't know. It feels good. This would be a better play, but
we are both playing a bit like monkeys.
Yeah, we're trying to show as much like as we can. Generally, I would have bolters right now, for instance, but I'm gonna pop the courage here. So destroy courage and blade hold. Your sword attacks cost energy less per turn. So instead of 1, it'll cost 0. This has go again, so I'll be able to do something after this. And it breaks after I use it. So.
But when you do that, you pass priority back to me. I can play an instant now. Like exactly. If I have a sigil, or if I were Kano and I burn your face.
You can Kano and burn my face, that is correct. Although, if I was Kano playing Courage, I probably have bigger problems. So I'll play Courage. I will then play an Iron Song Determination from hand. It'll give my weapon a +1 and dominate until end of turn. Another non-attack action, okay. So there's another priority window where Alan and I are able to play instance if we like.
Yeah,
I will then play a Steelblade Supremacy from Arsenal, which is able to give me +2, and whenever it hits, draw a card. I will then... Sure. I'll pitch a Razor Reflex to... that's for the Steelblade Supremacy. I will then swing the Dawnblade. I don't have to pay for it because of Courage, so it costs 0. This is now coming in for 6 Dominate. I have 2 cards in hand. And there is a trigger on Steelblade Supremacy if it hits.
No block.
No block.
Because he doesn't have go again. If I block and he have I forgot the name of the card where he can go, well, the one where you search for glint.
Singing Steelblade.
I'm assuming you don't have glint. So I mean, anyway, if I block just 3 damage and I trigger reprise, so it's not really worth it.
That's fair. I will pitch a red Iron Song response to come in with a Stroke of Foresight, making it 9.
Okay. That's good. No, No
Okay,
reaction.
I pass reaction back, so it's considered hit. This is coming in for 9. And damage resolution, he hasn't blocked with anything, so he'll be taking 9. The on-hit trigger from Steel Blade Supremacy has hit now, so after this calculation, I'm allowed to draw 1 card. I will then pass to end. I will then
pass back to you.
arsenal and pass.
Kodachi for 1. Pitching Crane Grave.
Yep.
Crane
Declare no
Dance.
block.
No reaction.
Okay. I pass defense reaction. I will take 1.
Kodachi for 2.
I will declare no block.
No.
He does not
No
have the
reaction.
razor. I will declare no defense reaction. So I'll be taking 2.
Exude Confidence for 4. And that's a fun one too.
Confidence for 4.
To explain
I
if you want to go
am
through.
not going to explain Exude Confidence, as I don't think it'll come up that much. But if there is a question
Okay.
on the wording on Exude Confidence and the actual priority triggers, that's definitely something you are allowed to call a judge for clarification. It is a really complicated card. Essentially, generalizing quite a bit here, it has 2 effects, one of which comes at an instant speed, pitching 3. He is allowed to essentially buff the Exude Confidence by +2. It comes in for 4 already. For 3, and he can do this as many times as he wants because it's coming in for instant speed. And the second one is essentially if I do not block with something with the power of at least Exude Confidence or higher, in this case it's 4 for now, I won't be able to play any, I believe, instance or defense reactions for the rest of the chain, I believe. Chain or turn?
Correct.
Those two. I think it's the chain. Yeah, so
Yes.
it's the chain. In this
Chain,
particular
chain.
case, Dorinthia doesn't have a lot of attack actions. And so I won't be able to block that effect. I'm not really going for a perfect play if that wasn't already clear from previous plays. So I'm just going to be blocking for... Alan has 3, so he likely could bring it to 8 here. That would be the most common. Now, what I could do is block for... I'm going to declare a block for 8 here. So 1 because I'm lower life than you, so Skullcap has a +1 defense. Brave Forge Bracers for 1, Out for Blood for 3, and another Out for Blood for 3, so 8 total.
Okay.
Yep.
So now I have priority. I'm gonna use my last resource to play Razor Reflex on it. So now it's coming for 7 and go again. And then I pass priority back to you.
I will pass reactions. Yep. So you're coming for 7 on my 8.
So this, yeah. And then I'm gonna play Command and Conquer.
Command and Conquer coming in for 6. So I am going to have to block for 6 here. So I will block for 6 with Warrior's Valor Glint. Yep. And
I pass back to you. Now that's the end of the turn. I didn't draw a card because Exude Confidence was the third attack and he completely blocked it.
I would have been dead, yeah.
If he didn't block it,
so
he would have been in
Alan will draw up. On my turn, I don't really have anything to do unless I want to play my Arsenal card. I do not, and so I will just pass the end.
I pass back to you.
I will then draw 4, and it's Alan's turn.
Kadachi for 1.
I will take the 1 here. So I will declare no block on that. I'll pass reaction.
No reaction.
Go down to 1 on damage resolution. Trigger the triggers after damage calculation. Alan has pitched to 0 cost, and so the Kadachi will gain Go Again, and so it gains Go Again in that last stage. This is important for attacking into cards like Spectra. The reason why, if you attack into a Spectra card and something doesn't gain Go Again, is because Go Again is not gained until the last trigger resolution at the end, which means the attack actually has to resolve for it to get to that last stage. And that's why when you attack into a Spectra, if you don't have an action point by some other means already, like a time snap potion or a time skippers, you will not be able to gain Go Again through attacking a Spectra. So I will declare a block of Flock of Featherwalkers for 2. Yep.
So this is blocked.
So Alan has put his Kadachi sideways just as a reminder for Mask Momentum, because I've blocked the second chain link card, and so he will need to string together another 3 attacks after that without breaking the chain if he wants to draw off Mask.
Gonna play Strike
for 5
for
Go Again.
5
I
Go
will
Again.
block with a Red Warrior's Valor and a Sharpened Steel for 6. And go to reactions. I will pass reaction myself.
No reaction.
No damage dealt. Crane Dance for 1. I will then be blocking with Iron Song Determination for 3. I also pass.
Yeah, and I pass back to you.
On my turn, I will just pass to end. And it is now Alan's turn. So while our play in the matchup isn't really the focus of this particular game, it is important to note at this particular stage, because Alan doesn't have Snapdragon, he is waiting for some kind of automatic Go Again from things like Leg Tap to just go wide and be able to actually hit with that extra point of damage. So that's essentially the break point. Yep, I will declare a block.
Kodachi for 1.
Twin Blade for 3.
I'm gonna Ravenous Rebel for 3, and the resolution say reveal the top card of your deck. Ravenous Rebel get minus X attack, where X is the pitch value of the card revealed this way. So I reveal
coming
it.
for 0. Important
Three,
note
so
that before the resolution, before the trigger actually resolves, there is a window for me to react with some kind of instant. Just for anyone wondering where exactly, if they wanted to play an instant, where they would do so, it is on the attack itself. You can do it before the actual trigger resolves. You would put your effect on the stack, your instant on the stack. It would resolve, and then the attack action trigger would resolve. And so for Ravenous, it is a blue, and so it revealed the blue, so it's 3-3 with 0. I will declare no block. Does it hit if it's 0?
Does it hit if it's 0?
It's a good question, though.
That's what I thought.
I will declare a block, which
I
will
will
be
Kodachi for 1.
A yellow hit and run. I pass defense reaction.
Well, pass back to you. Pass back to you.
I will declare a block of
Then I will
6 with
play a
Warriors
Torrent of
Valor and
Tempo.
Overpower. Yep.
And then I pass back.
I
I
also
pass back to you.
pass. My turn, I will then pass the end to just draw up. I mean, Kadachi block.
Man, that's very anticlimactic.
Yep. Block with the blue
Could
hit and run.
Kodachi for 1. I mean, Eric is kind of like
Mm-hmm.
in a bad loop now because once you are at 1 life against Ninja, it's
Pass
bad.
defense reaction.
I no reaction. No
Okay.
reaction.
I
Kodachi for
will
2.
block with Spoils of War for 3. Go to reaction phase. Pass reaction.
No reaction.
Uh,
Snatch for 4.
no, I block both
Draw
Kodachis. That is
2
fine.
card
I'm
on hit.
blocking for
Ah, no, you
6
block
here
both,
because I
sorry.
do not want to die.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then
And
you raise
you
her
know what?
for
I'm gonna do
7,
it
I
fancy.
assume.
So you block for 6.
Yep.
No, I'm gonna play Sigil as a reaction.
Yep.
Doesn't
So he
matter
has
when I
Alan has
play it, but
priority
because
after
I can
defense
play it
reaction
now.
to play either attack reactions or instants. So he is just showing that now is a time where he can't sigil. He can wait until after this is all resolved and do it before he ends his turn. There are different points, but that is a valid place to play an instant. So he would be going. Yep.
And then I
One day
pass
I
back
do
to you.
believe he will draw something that gets go again. I will then pass my turn.
Maybe not. uh,
Clear block of 3 with Iron
I
Song
Kodachi for
response.
1, putting a yellow flick flag.
Pass reaction.
No reaction.
Clear block of 3 with Overpower.
Kodachi for 2,
No reaction.
no reaction.
Yep. Declare a block of 6 with Singing
Exit
Steel Blade and Iron
confidence
Song
for 4.
response. Pass reaction.
No reaction.
Yep.
And I pass back to you.
On my turn, I just draw up. It's over to you. I will
Kodachi
block with
for
Steel Blade
1.
Supremacy. Block with Warrior's Valor.
Kodachi for 2.
Yep.
Flank
And I only have
for
blocking for
7.
6.
Pitching
And
a
so
snatch.
I will, in damage resolution step, take 1 damage, and that'll be the game. If I did go to, as they call, fatigue, I only had 8 cards left. You do not immediately lose the game when you run out of cards. Some other games have that rule. You just essentially pitch and put your pitch to the deck, and that becomes your hand, and then it's recycled until somebody wins the game, or it goes to time, and then there's time procedures. The way going to time works is after the 50 minutes in Classic Constructed, 30 minutes in Blitz or limited formats. On turn 0, when time is called, essentially is the player whose turn it is when time is called will be able to finish their turn. Their opponent then gets 1 turn. After that, if nobody is able to win the game, then it is a draw. So I hope that was helpful to people to kind of explain the nuances between timings and priority, and when you're able to kind of do stuff. I know that probably wasn't the most exciting match, but we do have other matches that are more kind of technical based, so they're more gameplay focused, where we're actually kind of trying to put the most efficient lines and play a bit more competitively. This was just really meant to teach everyone kind of the things you can and can't do in the chain and in the game itself. So I hope everyone maybe learned a thing or two. As always, if you have any questions, please call a judge when the
Let
actual piece is happening in the game. Don't call the judge about something that happened a couple turns later if you can. Correct.
And you can call
Correct.
the judge before you do
You
something.
can
Like
ask
if
for
you are not sure
clarification.
about
That is a very
something before you do
underutilized
it, you can
feature of
ask
a
the
judge, I
judge.
would say. A lot of people don't ask, but you can very much be like, does it work this way? And you can show them the card, be like, if I do this, does it gain it from this or something like that? That is a valid
Yes.
question. It's better to ask before if it is
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it is something that you are truly worried about misplaying. So if you do misplay it, that would be that would be a worse scenario than you just asking.
And like a lot of time, most of people shortcut. Like I do Kodachi for one. He say no block. I say no reaction. Most of people will just go to
Mm-hmm.
damage. He doesn't need to say no reaction and then damage. Uh, we went through the proper way, but you see, it take a lot of time. But most like if I say I attack, or like you can always say, okay, I take one, but then that's kind of like I still can play a reaction. Typically, like I feel like if somebody
Mm-hmm.
just say, okay, I'm taking one, it means I'm not defending. But if I want to
Right.
say to
And
play
that's
attack
why
reaction, I
it
can say, oh
is
wait, I have an
better
attack
to say
reaction.
that if you say
You
no
know.
block,
So
say no block, go to reaction. That's much. Don't just say I'll take whatever. It doesn't. It takes an extra a second or two to just say no block, go to reaction. Let your opponent play an attack reaction before you then decide. Maybe you do have a defense reaction. Like it's the opponent doesn't know, right? It's not really useful psyching someone out to have a defense reaction or not rather
yeah,
than just skipping their turn and being like, "Oh, I meant to play this. Can I play this now?" Like, don't put yourself in that uncomfortable scenario of kind of skipping a critical stage of either a card effect or as Alan said, kind of the skipping the reaction phase once you say like take the damage immediately. Oh yeah. Oh no, it happens.
but it happen a lot. Especially with Kodachi. I mean, if you attack 40 times with Kodachi,
Exactly.
you're not gonna say pass, pass, pass,
But
pass,
yeah,
pass.
I don't
That's
know.
80
I think that
pass.
was all I had to say.
So, but just say your opponent if you forget. Like, I mean, like I attack. If you say, like first turn one, I
Mm-hmm.
say attack. You say you take one. I say wait. I have a reaction. Because typically, if he say I take
Mm-hmm.
one, it means he pass
Exactly.
priority back to me by not defending. So there is no
Mhm.
issue
Yeah,
with
that
just
player
saying
will always
like,
be able
hold
to
on,
play
I
a
do have a
reaction
reaction.
if you just say like I'll take the one or I'll take the whatever. The other player will still always be able to play Razor or whatever because that doesn't just skip the entire reaction saying you take one. You can't skip their priority. You can't skip one of the phases for their turn.
But I like this like I see it as ping
Yep.
pong. Like we need to
There needs
both
to be a
pass
constant
for something to
discussion.
resolve. That's pretty easy if you think like that. So like if you are Dorian and you attack with your sword,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't block, then you don't play any reaction, then that's well no actually I do have time to play a defense reaction. But
Correct.
if I don't
That
play a
happens a
defense
lot.
reaction, you can't just
That
add
time
an attack
zones.
reaction after. Like attack doesn't
Yep.
count. Attack on defense doesn't count as a ping pong stuff. It's like if
Yep.
we both don't do any
Do you have
reaction,
any other
well then
points
that
that I
pass.
might have missed, Alan? Or that about covers?
No, there was like no. So there was one, but it really doesn't happen that often. But like, let's say I have Katsu and the mask. So is it the owner or is it the active
Sorry
player who choose
for
the
so
order
you
of
hit
resolution?
the third.
Like, let I can't think of a
Mm-hmm.
defensive card, but let's say so I do my 3 attack.
Correct. You
So me I can choose if I do the mask first or Katsu first. But if you are the
mhm.
defensive player and you also have something that trigger,
Right. No,
like for example you have
no. I understand what you mean.
I
So
forgot the
essentially, it would
out
be the
of
turn
two
player who
was
gets
for
to lay
example.
out their trigger order first, and then the defensive player, if they have multiple triggers, they then get to decide their trigger order. So it's the turn player and then the opposing player.
And that the turn player will
Yeah. Yep.
resolve his stuff first, correct? So like if you have a odd to Ras and if you are dead, you don't have time to actually when your
Yeah,
spectral shield pop to
yeah. So
I
so
mean your
that's
spectral
kind of an
shield pop,
example of
but the
one
odd
of the
to
rule
Ras doing
sets that
damage is
LSS
after that.
kind of put out for. I think they put out Merciful Retribution. It's the same kind of idea. If you attack a prism
Oh
with
yeah, yeah.
for lethal essentially, and then you use let's say you're the attacking hero. Let's say I'm Chain. I'm attacking. We're both at one. The Prism has one Spectral Shield and Merciful Retribution. I'm attacking Prism directly with Nebula Blade. Let's say it's coming in for 4 because I have non-attack, right? So I'm attacking for 4. Let's say in this particular case, the Prism has 1 card in hand, blocks for 3 with the Spectral. Let's say I'm attacking for let's say 5 instead for like an attack for 5 instead. So it'll essentially go 1 over. So it'll be a lethal attack. So they block for 3 and the Spectral Shield. But I'm attacking for 5, 1 over. So because the damage calculation happens first and the merciful retribution trigger from the spectral shield happens after, in the next phase, the lethal damage hits first and Prism would die. However, Prism ends up blocking the Nebula Blade or whatever attack, and one of their soul shield pops in the process, then Chain will take that 1 damage in the trigger resolution and Chain will die. So it's based on phasing and kind of the order of the actual triggers itself, and that is a important note for especially Prism, because Prism added a whole lot of I mean, Prism alone with like Arclight Sentinel added a priority step at the defensive stage. So there didn't used to be priority at the defensive stage, right? It was just attack, priority, defend, then goes to attack reaction. There wasn't like the ability to play some kind of instance for like Arclight Sentinel, right? So Prism did add some nuances that you should, if you are playing Prism, you should definitely read up on beforehand, but then kind of know the basic ones if you're playing against Prism, just based on kind of triggers and
And you can't play Arclight Sentinel if you don't have priority. So like if somebody just attack you with a crippling
Mhm.
crush, you can
Correct.
say, oh hold on, I play Arclight Sentinel. No, you can't. But if I pitch to Bravo to give my next attack dominate,
Yep.
then you can react because I do something, so you have a window of reaction. Then you can play your Arclight Sentinel, and then if I
Yep.
do play my
Activated
crippling crush, I
abilities
have to attack the
such as
Arclight Sentinel.
Bravo, creating a surge token with your tectonic plating, a surge token resolving, like seismic surge actually triggering
True.
at the beginning of turn. You can respond to that seismic surge triggering. Play the Arclight. I mean, whether it's a waste or not is not kind of what we're arguing here, but you can do it uh, on the chain as an instant onto the onto the stack for that seismic surge that someone made previously that is now popping. You could play an Arclight in response as an instant, but once someone has played, once you've passed on the, let's say they're creating a surge token, playing Bravo, you've passed on the first one, passed on the second, and now they're playing Crippling Crush, there is no window to play Arclight and then force Crippling to target it, because Arclight needs to already be in the field when Crippling Crush is being announced and played. And so the timing for that is kind of missed if that's what you're looking to do. But if you see a Bravo and you want to ensure whatever they're dominating is attacking the Arclight in response to Bravo triggering the non-attack activated ability, you can then play Arclight Sentinel pitching 6 in response to then have whatever they're playing have to target that Arclight Sentinel.
Yeah, I think we cover
Mm-hmm.
everything. You can put in the comment below if you have any question, or you can also go to our Discord if you have any question. We will be happy to help you. And yeah, thanks for sticking with us, and we will have
Everyone
more
for watching.
exciting video coming very soon. Cheers.